Welcome back to Bonanza Disc Golf. I was just finishing uploading a video today and my wife reminded me that we are watching a show tonight at 6 and it's 4:40, meaning I only have an hour and a half. So I want to take you guys through how to do a fieldwork session in half an hour that will actually get you better at disc golf, hopefully, because I know a lot of you guys don't have a ton of time, so we're gonna go run and do that real fast. But essentially, you need to know what you need to work on, and then let's get to the field grabbing a couple discs. We don't need a ton. Actually, we can probably just take that back. That should work. I did explain this in a recent video, but I do think I'm gonna be doing a lot more field work instead of just network. I think network is important, but I think it can teach you some bad habits, especially with the nose angle. Obviously, you need good form, but to throw far, form is a big part of it, obviously, but nose angle arguably is more important because if you have great form, but you're always skying or always throwing it into the ground, disc isn't gonna go anywhere. Actually, I'm gonna make the executive decision real quick. My ground is still a mess and I just ran over some tools. But I'm gonna make the executive decision real fast that we're actually gonna take a look at the things that we need to work on in my form, because there's like 4 or 5 of them, but the key to this fieldwork session today is focusing on one thing. That way I'm not overloading myself and I'm not overloading the time that we need to be there, because we need to warm up, throw, analyze our throws, rethrow, analyze our throws, rethrow as much as we can in that half-hour session. We're actually just gonna go to a video that I just finished editing for the upload that's actually today, which is yesterday as you're watching this video. I think we're gonna go to like 6 videos a week, or at least try that out because I like posting a lot of videos. My wall likes me posting a lot of videos, and I know you guys like it too. So we're gonna open this up real fast. The reason I also like this is because this video is a tags match that I went and played. So we're not looking at me like trying to have good form. We're looking at what my form actually looks like. What I see are kind of like 4 or 5 main things that we can look at in basically every single throw that I do. So what we're gonna look at here and be able to see is where my eyes are looking, where the disc is, and already I don't think I'm creating enough space, as you can see right there. I think I'm kind of like here. I wanna be out more. I want this to be kind of out. And that way I'm creating a lot more space and can coil a little bit better, extend, come through. That's one thing we need to work on, but I think it's a couple other main things. The first is look at where I'm starting to turn already. I have not even started my X step and I'm already, my head is away from the target. I'm not looking at the target anymore. I'm still like barely even looking at the target here. I think I need to be a little more straight on, even at this point here. Let's pull up, actually let's do Emerson Keith for me, because he's about my size. I know Drew is close as well, but similar enough angle. Let's go ahead and take a look at this real fast. So also, in case you guys didn't know, I say this all the time, but you can press the period key to move forward 1 frame and the comma key to move back a frame on YouTube. So, but his head is looking forward, 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 steps forward. And now that allows the disc to stay in the same exact position until after his X step, so that when he starts to leave the disc behind him and step out, he doesn't get to full extension until his full extension is a little bit weird. So I'm not trying to replicate that full extension. I just like his sizing and the way that he shifts his weight. But that full extension happens when he hits his foot on the ground. For me, this is the main thing that we're really looking at this terrible, is because at this point, I actually start to already turn my head. Look, I'm turning my head at that step, not even at my X step. I am fully extended like 1, 2, 3, 4 frames before my foot goes down, and I'm already pulling through here. And now I'm almost fully pulled. So that's the first main thing, is where exactly is my head positioning, which leads my reach back. So keeping my head forward until after I plant my X step. And then as I'm gliding out with my last foot right here, as I'm gliding out over that foot, that's when I start to move my head backwards and my shoulders and everything. Another thing, we can see that I am my back foot here, my left foot here, I'm throwing a straight shot. These should be a little bit more in line with one another. It's way too staggered, and I think a part of that is because my stance is a little too long. I think having a little bit straighter of a stance is a little bit better. He's coming through, and the disc is getting ejected at the trajectory along the line of his hips, even though it's about to flip over and turn and go back to the right. So yeah, see, hyzer flip to turn. I'm just trying to throw a hyzer to flat shot, and so my disc should be going this way, so I have to overcompensate and hold on longer so that the disc can go a little straighter. Second major thing, we'll actually look at a different form for this because this happens in every single time, so I'd have no question that I'm going to pull one up and it's going to look pretty because I know it's not. I think too, both my feet are kind of off the ground here, maybe trying to close up that X step a little bit like you see Ezra Ader hold, but the X step is very small here. Very small X step to a longer, powerful step. I think I use a lot of space in my X step, so that's the second thing to work on. I should be writing this down. Let's watch this back arm real fast. Back arm up, 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 up. And look how high I reached that. It's kind of like an Eric Oakley kind of thing. I don't think I even mean to do that, but I saw Robbie C video, he talked about quieting the left side, and I think that that's important. So this arm for me, I don't even need to like, I kind of just want it to stay at my side, because right now it's not really doing anything except for causing drag back here and making me do one more thing with my shoulders. One thing that I do like is the tilt that I have on my shoulders here. But I think one of the reasons is I just get this to kind of come through and swing around instead of this swings down, meaning that instead of having this tilt on a hyzer go from down here to basically the opposite, where instead of this way, my shoulders turn this way, you're gonna see my shoulders don't actually come up that way. They kind of get straight, and then I'm like pulling with this shoulder because this shoulder needs to be going down. This whole side needs to be going down because I'm not weight shifting correctly, and I think that also causes me to not have space here. And so this elbow would be a little bit higher because this shoulder would be a little bit higher. And then the disc would be following the elbow a little bit better instead of kind of pinching in. I like that shot in general, but the brace also is not good because look at, I'm stepping out to throw a hyzer this way instead of stepping on the line that my hyzer will go, meaning that this becomes my point of rotation. So instead of actually kind of throwing straight here and allowing all the weight to shift directly into it, because the weight is both shifting forward and towards this left side, I have to go around my brace, not stop on it, but move around it even more forward and then stop up there, because instead of my weight transferring straight directly, it's transferring both up and to the left, which causes a rotation, which we don't want. We just want the weight shift to hit against my leg. Left side, drop down and quiet the arm on the reach back. And this is something that you can't really see, but something I know I need to do is I need to weight shift into this hip, because weight shifting into this hip, you just saw everything else drop down. When this hip pops, everything's gonna rotate because we're going forward. It's going to brace into this hip and then rotate around. So that's a lot of things that I need to work on. And I honestly don't even think that that's everything. We don't have a lot of time. We have an hour till I have to be back here. So we're gonna go do very fast fieldwork session and address one thing. The one thing that I'm wanting to address today is going to be my timing, which I think a lot has to do with where my head is placed. So looking forward until the X step, and then as my foot comes forward, my arm goes back. We won't worry about a lot else. If a lot else fixes itself, great, but we're really just worrying about the head placement right now. And if we have a little bit of time, or if they work together, I'll also work on one lower body thing, which is shifting that weight laterally forward instead of out. So let's go see if we can fix something. Okay, I know I just said, let's see if we can fix something in 30 minutes, but that's not actually like the real goal, because you can't fix something in 30 minutes. I even have seen a lot of videos of people like going out and like, they're like, okay, in one fieldwork session, let's see if we can fix this thing. And it's like, maybe, but I'm honestly not expecting to fix anything in like less than a month. I mean, if it happens, awesome. And even then is a pretty short time period, especially if you've been playing for a while. Your body is built up like what it knows how to do. And in my case, it's really freaking ugly in terms of disc golf. But the really important thing is the amount of time that you spend on it over a period of time. I am going to be talking a little bit on my butt right here, but I'm pretty sure I've like read a study somewhere that like the amount of time that you put into something concertedly over a longer period of time is oftentimes better than just like over a short period of time, because it gives your body time to go through the cycles that it needs to adapt, rest, and then see where its new baseline is, and then you probably will have to fix something else from there. So this isn't gonna fix anything at all. Like, before I went and played that tags match yesterday, I was with my wife just messing around, and the things with my hip weight shift was just clicking. I was throwing mids like 360, 370 feet, and then yesterday, like, I wasn't throwing my drivers that far. It's a little embarrassing, but that's just kind of what happens. It's gonna take time. So a bunch of these 30-minute sessions should hopefully help if that's all the time that you have. Let's get out there, warm up a little bit. I'm gonna start the timer from here, and let's just see how much we can get done. 30 minutes. What I would recommend for when you're going out and doing this is 100% having some sort of tripod and phone, or just a camera if that's what you have and you're not also filming a YouTube video. But the phone's honestly a lot easier because you can just look at it in real time. So I have this linked in my description. Like always, I'm gonna get this. Honestly, today though, I think I want to work on the back view, because that's what we were looking at a little earlier. And normally I've been working on a side view instead. Oh, I meant to check the amount of battery that I had before I came out here. It is 4%. Oh, Anthony, you're freaking ding dong. We're gonna really look at keeping our tilt no matter what, starting, keeping our head forward. Now that we're here, this is the position we want to be in so that we coil as this not steps out, because if this steps out, the other reason I don't like doing that is because that forces my shoulders in line with this, so that there's less hip to shoulder separation. Because if I'm throwing straight and I step out this way, then the hip to shoulder separation isn't as great as if I'm throwing that way and I'm stepping out to this position straight here, because then when I coil to the same position, this just feels less coiled than this, because this takes more coil here than this does. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. It's just like a math thing. Like the degrees are different. So when both of them are here, when I coil this way, maybe this is only like 40 degrees compared to where my hips are, but here it's like 80. So that's just a big thing. But that's really what we're looking at, is stepping forward and keeping our eyes forward until we do that. I'm gonna probably only throw putters here, not a super big field. We'll take a look at it. 23 more minutes though. I think 30 minutes is longer than people realize for just like doing a simple fieldwork session. I think the biggest key is just figuring out what you need to work on first though. Okay, so there are a bunch of things that I want to work on from looking at that. I noticed that it actually causes my head, which is what we are working on, to actually stay more forward, because I'm looking at it forward. And then once I kind of release it back, I kind of stay strained forward instead of letting my shoulder take it in a neutral position, which will actually give me a further reach back and more distance. It did also really help to have a good brace to be straight going forward, because I don't fall over my brace on those shots. Maybe the second I didn't really look at that, but I really noticed it on the first. But yeah, that's the one last thing, is the head. There are a lot of things that I'm looking at with my pull through and the ways that I'm doing that I want to fix, but focusing just on one thing I think for this session is going to be the real key to getting it better. So I only did 2 throws until I looked at that, and that's what I'm going to continue doing. 1 or 2 throws, feeling like they're good or bad, and then checking them out. So I just looked at this next batch of videos as I went and picked up the 5 discs that I threw, and it's looking a little bit better. It's still looking very strained, which I know in an Iceberg TV video I watched, he said, as well as Yanni from DG Spin Doctor, they were saying that like you have to over exaggerate things when you get started, and then later they will start to feel more normal and be more natural, which I totally agree with. I do notice I'm still coming a little bit around my brace, much more minimally though. The left side we're not trying to look at today, it still looks bad. But just this one thing I think will be very helpful in smoothness and hitting lines straight on. So we're gonna continue working on it a little bit. I'm just gonna throw these back, focus on the head positioning. It's already been about 15 minutes, so not a super long period of time, but I feel like we're getting a lot done, and it's definitely boosting confidence just doing this a little bit of time. Okay, I'm definitely feeling more accurate with this. My brace feels good, and I was about 280, 290 out, and I put all of the putters in the Kotuku within 15 feet. I tried to throw this one hard, and I threw it, what my rangefinder says is 344 feet, so that's not bad, and it landed into a hillside. So I mean, I think stuff is working. This is where you got to take it piece by piece, maybe work on more tomorrow, but maybe just try to dial this in, maybe try to work on something else, and if this reverts, then go back to just working on this till it's dialed in. There's just a lot of pieces to figure out, and a lot of dogs watching me throw frisbees. Let's check out now from a side angle. All right, so I just looked at some more recent ones, and they were, I tried to juice up a little bit, and I think this just goes to show, don't try to throw too hard, because I tried to throw a little bit harder on these last ones, and I think when I throw harder, I tend to overstep my last step, because everything gets bigger. My X step gets bigger, my last step gets bigger, and that's just not how you throw for power accurately or well. And it didn't go any farther than all of my shots where I was trying to go slower. It felt more uncomfortable, like nothing went farther, which is a little embarrassing because that's how I try to throw far, but it just goes to show slow and smooth and take the right form work, and it will happen. I did notice as well that when I tried to speed up there, my head was going a lot earlier than it had been before. I'm gonna take some more side view shots and just going a little bit slower and seeing how everything looks. It should be a little bit cleaner, and it does feel cleaner and smoother than when I'm out on the course. The other big thing for me is getting out onto the course and making sure that this gets implemented, but that's why I'm only going to the course 1 or 2 days a week. I'm gonna be in a field basically every other day throwing, hopefully longer than this 30-minute session, but I'm not gonna say that this is like gonna change your life. And obviously the longer you can get out here, the more throws you can do while not getting tired, like the better it's gonna be for you. But I'd say if you only have 30 minutes, there are things that can change for you. I only have about 5 or 10 more throws left. Maybe. I do want to get some like big long drives in, but there's too many people at this park now. Someone just came into the field, so I'm not going to be able to Not gonna be able to get them in, but we'll get some putter throws in one last time and hopefully they look good. So I don't know if this is visible on camera, but I just picked this disc up from right here. And on that throw, I was doing my normal X step that I've been doing just the whole entire time. For the rest of these throws, oh my gosh, that's like 50 feet. For the rest of these throws, I shortened my X step and still had the same head thing. But I think that shortened X step helped me to coil more because I think the longer X step takes me off balance because these are all 50 feet further. So that's 15 meters minus 117. So 102 meters, which is 335 feet, I think, for this disc. So all these are in the 330 foot range. And I think it was a slight head. There's like 5 miles an hour wind. There's like basically no wind. So I think all these putters are in the 330 foot range. So I'm gonna keep working with putters and mids for the next little bit and maybe try to take out drivers a little bit. I mean, not today, tomorrow, because I have to go. It's been a half an hour, but man, this does go to show. If there are some things that you really focus on and just focus on those, they can really help. As you guys watched all my other field and network videos, I think Fieldwork's actually better than network now. Crazy. But I have nets, which I think you should definitely still buy, that are linked in the description. One's from Amazon, which is cheaper, and then one is the Visionary net, which gives me a lot more commission and is a little bit higher quality, but a little bit smaller of a net. But my bane was I was focusing on one thing and then I'd see, oh, this is something else that I need to work on. And then I'd work on that. And then I'd be like, oh, there's something else. And today I just focused on head and stepping straight. And I worked on that and I was like, let me try this X step thing. And everything went 50 to 60 feet farther, like legitimately. I thought it was a fluke the first time I threw it, and then I did it every other throw consistently with everything, including a slightly nose up envy, but everyone knows gyro goes farther. So that's kind of a crazy little realization there. I'm gonna definitely continue working on this, but those couple things, along with a lot of other stuff that I need to do, but those couple things definitely helped. So as long as you have a general understanding of form, or if someone tells you there's one thing you need to work on, just work on that one thing. Try to dial it in. It might fix some other problems, because I was not throwing nose up today. Almost at all, except for when I tried flat nanny. Still missing hyzer, but wow, that was really good. I'm gonna throw it to me in the booth for a couple final parting thoughts, and then we'll get out of here. 30 minutes can help. It's not gonna do everything for you, and this is 100% not gonna do just directly translate into my game. I'm gonna need to practice it a lot more, but that's what we have the time to do. If I'm throwing 330 with putters on easy two-steppers, I'm excited for what the future pretends. See you in the booth. Welcome back to the booth. I will say that there are a couple major things that helped massively during this session, and a couple things that I noticed that I still need to work on. I was just blown away by how much that one shortening up the X step help. I think it just helps me stay on balance so I can weight shift a little bit better. The main things that I think I'm needing to work on next are, first, in those very last clips that we saw, I noticed that my foot when I planted might be a little bit open. It might just be the angle that I'm shooting on, but I wanna make sure that that's closed because I'll be able to generate more power that way. So that's one more thing to kind of write down. The second is, man, is my left arm terrible. It just comes through, which pushes my whole body forward instead of going just down or staying at my side and letting everything else happen as it naturally should. It kind of forces an early rotation of my shoulders, which is not good. I'm interested to see if this will actually transfer into driver distance, because putter mid distance is totally different. But if I'm throwing that far with my putters and mids, I'm hoping that I can figure out a way to throw farther and faster with my drivers. And then one last thing with the head, I don't think it's fully fleshed out. I think my timing looks so much better because it's turning at the correct time. But two things I think I'm still doing wrong. One is I'm turning it, but only this far instead of letting that final extension happen. And on top of that, I think I'm watching the disc too early. This is something that we talked about in past videos that as I'm working on it now, I need to work on it again. So I'm gonna probably just work on these same exact things, just adding in, instead of letting my head come forward with my shoulders, I think that's causing me to release a little bit past the 10 o'clock release point that you want. And instead, I'm going to start to try to let myself release and then let my follow through bring my head around so it stays neutral, because you can see it goes with this shoulder, the front shoulder, instead of the back shoulder. And it should be led back with the front shoulder and led forward with the back shoulder. I'm not a coach. These are just me musing about improving my own game based on everything that I've read and learned. So I appreciate you guys coming along for the journey. Subscribe if you want to do that. Like the video is always helpful. And if you want to check out my last Project 100 video talking about my plan for the rest of my 2 months of an off season, check that out right down here. Not a lot of people watch that video. And if you don't want to watch that video because you don't care about that, that's totally fine. Go ahead and check out this video right down here, which is another video where I'm working on form. Probably see you guys tomorrow. Okay, love you. Bye.